I'm going to beat every single game released on the Nintendo Online subscription pass. The goal is to really see if the online pass is actually worth buying and if the game included is a worthy pick in the subscription. This is a new series. It's inspired by Thab series playing every single N64 game. And I love his stuff, so go check him out if you can. So although I'll go through every single game it has to offer, I'm going to go based on what I feel like playing. But I will note, I'm going to start at the N64. The next episode will be a SNES title, followed by a Genesis title, then a Nintendo one, and then loop back around. There's over 100 different titles spanning all consoles, so this might take a while. That being said, let's see if the first game is worth the subscription placement. This is literally the game that made me feel like I'd better do this series. I played this game as a young blood, and yeah, somewhere young me remembers being absolute dog poop at this game. Regardless, it's time to revisit my past and see if it still holds up today and if it's worth a Nintendo Online membership. F-Zero X, published in-house by Nintendo, was first released in 1998. It's the successor to the original F-Zero released in North America in 1991 on the SNES. Originally, F-Zero was released to show the new effects of the new Mode 7 chip in the Super Nintendo, showing its 3D capabilities and speed capabilities. And F-Zero X was supposedly released to show the capabilities of fast-paced graphical polygons, 30 vehicles on a track, new physics on tracks, and all while maintaining a smooth 60 frames per second. Since this was my first time opening the Nintendo 64 app, that is nostalgia city, bro. 100%. So as per this challenge, I'm following what Thab does, which means you kind of find the most one-player adventure thing you can find and beat the game on the default difficulty. And in this case, it has to be the GP on Novice. But I don't know, I felt like pushing a bit since I'm familiar with the game and chose standard instead. Although in retrospect, I probably should have went expert. One thing you might have noticed in the menu is this thing called Death Race, which I'll touch on later. There are 3 courses to start: Joker, Queen, King. I started with the first one as recommended. The next step was picking a character. I mean, what do you expect? I'm a Smash Bros. Player. I am absolutely going with Captain Falcon. I mean, seriously. How could I not choose Captain Falcon? The first track was Mute City. Looks simple, figured I'd crush through it easily, and I could not be more wrong. To start, 30 other cars on these tracks, and your ass starts from last goddamn place, which to me seems stupid unfair. And you always start from that far back, not just the first course, literally every single race you're that far back. And the cars, they move extremely fast, and the controls are super slippery at some points. It's kind of at this point where I felt like a Pro Controller is not the right way to play this. The joystick is beyond sensitive, and it's pretty awkward to control the vehicle with the button layout being so different from the original. It was actually here where I almost wanted to stop and order the wireless N64 controller to play as intended, but lo and behold, they're all sold out, and even worse, these scumbag scalpers are reselling them at ridiculously high prices. One day those sleazeballs will get what's coming to them. I don't have high hopes I'll actually be able to obtain one anytime soon. They're just too expensive and unavailable from legitimate retailers, so we'll figure something out. Anyways, as I played through this first course, I realized I was out of my element. I got 7th place. Not so great, but I guess it wasn't last. Next race, I got 4th. And the third race, well, something about this game you should know is the energy meter. It's both a health bar and a boost bar. After you complete a lap, you unlock boosting. Boosting drains your energy meter in exchange for a slight boost in speed. It seems like a great option to use if you're behind or if you want to maintain a strong lead, but if your meter runs too low and you bump into a wall or another character, you just lose. And it'll have this warning beeping sound in case you're not paying attention to the meter. Yeah, I guess I wasn't paying attention to that either. I decided at this point I would never let the meter get low again, as this basically means you have to redo the lap in order to place. So, after redoing the race, I got 3rd. 4th race, I placed 1st. And 5th race was Big Blue. And this track not only has an iconic music track, but the track itself is really unique. You're basically racing on the majority of this track on a literal tube. It almost feels like racing on a huge anaconda with boost pads. This may have been the first track of its kind to ever be in any type of racing game, and I'm pretty sure it set the basis to what Super Mario Galaxy would eventually become in terms of physics. I finished 4th in this race. Race 6 was Port Town. Now this track is sort of an intro to how insane these jumps can get in F-Zero. On one part, you're boosting up a ramp and soaring into the sky, only to try to land back on the track. You really have to be tight and precise, because if you go off course, even a little, you'll fall off the course like I did and retiring once more. I feel like a fall from such a height and an explosion would do more than retire a racer. I guess it's the future, right? Like they would have stuff like that. So I raced once more and got second. A small cutscene plays where you're racing through this course, and because I'm in second, I get a nice fat try again firework. Great. My defeat was celebrated. Awesome. I thought I kicked ass at this, and I don't. It is a lot harder than it seems. It almost seemed like it would take me forever to beat this first course. But I retried and figured I'll just run through the course or replay it again if I don't get first place. And that's kind of what didn't end up happening, actually. I started using the poorly mapped Z and R buttons in order to make tight turns better. I also started to get the hang of how to drive through these courses and getting better results. It was this run where I started using them in order to get my very first kill. Yeah, double tapping Z or R or both turns your vehicle into a battering ram and allows you to knock out opponents. When you do, you end up getting this nice little golden star. I really like this aspect of the game. Since there's no items or weapons like in Mario Kart, using this option is a great way to thin the herd. With these strats, I ended up getting enough points to just barely win first place on these courses and a total of 1-star kill. Sick! Ending cutscene plays with the drivers headed to their podiums. A small graphic of Captain Falcon comes up with a line that says, "My time has not yet passed." Sounds kind of cryptic. I have no idea what it refers to, but cool. Following that, a firework of Captain Falcon's head explodes to show I won first place. No try again fireworks for me this time. So next was the Queen's Cup. Nothing too special for the first race. Just got first place on the track. Second race was Red Canyon, and this track was thinner than the other ones with a lot more jumps. It was essential to not move out of control when you're airborne and to preserve your energy meter as much as possible, since you kind of ram into the other players often. I got third here. Next was Devil's Forest 2. Again, nothing special, just a small section that got thin with turns, but nothing too crazy. I got first. Mute City 2 introduced bounce pads. These are really reminiscent of the bounce pads in Super Mario Kart and the original F-Zero. All they do is lift you into the air where it's unstable. You do get to skip this thin portion, which could cost you energy, so I guess that's a good reason to use it. But mostly it just feels good being airborne. I got my first kill here and placed first. Big Blue 2. I immediately died here. Remember how I said you could kill opponents? Well, they do this to you too. And once you're hit, those slippery controls activate, and because this is the first stage to introduce a section with no barriers, I fucking ate it, dude. This stupid CPU did the spin to win and knocked me out. Well, now I know. Watch for other CPUs, and for God's sake, stay on the track. This would prove a lot harder than anticipated. After retrying, I placed first. So I guess I never mentioned this, but this is a good time to do this. Anytime you crash and die and burn or retire, you really aren't penalized. You start with 4 lives, and anytime you do die, you lose 1. I assume once you lose all of them, you game over and have to start all over again. At least that's kind of the theory I had. The later stages really start pushing those, and because this is Nintendo Online, there is a save state function you can use. The game was never intended for you to use these save states, so I tried not using it, but I did for one section, and I had a damn good reason for doing so. So anyways, the final race was Whiteland. As the last race in the cup, this was really a tough track. Not only is there a section without barriers, but it also becomes thin. I died, I retried, and somehow didn't die again. And I expected to. By the second lap, I was blinking red on these type jumps that had no barriers. I got lucky with a charging pad right after that. And just so we can explain this, the pink things recharge your health. How I haven't mentioned that yet is beyond me. It's one of the biggest mechanics in the game. These, of course, are taken straight from F-Zero in the SNES and made to work here. With such a difficult course, I still managed to get third. This put me at first place overall in the standings with 1 star from the kill. Cue the graphics and fireworks. It was time to take care of the last course, King. Course 1 was Firefield, and this one has a zigzag jump. Not only is the boost ramp tight as heck, but landing on the course requires navigation in the sky. And like I mentioned earlier, driving in the sky is not easy. I managed to skill it out and get first on this course. I was becoming pretty comfortable with the driving mechanics at this point. The only way I thought I could lose now was by game overing or some random jank. Next was Silence 2. Some extremely tight turns that took over half my energy and a wavy section without barriers. Nothing too crazy till the final lap. I had such a tough time trying to to get first, as hitting the walls would slow me down and rob me of energy. At the final lap, I was right behind first place and couldn't boost due to low energy. As we reached the final stretch, I saw my opportunity. Some sloppy yet tight movement allowed me to gain energy while using my boost, and with that, I cleared through first place and took it right under them. And I do mean them. There's 2 racers in that vehicle. Kind of reminds me of those aliens for Star Wars Episode 1s. You know, those 2 guys in the pod racers? I wonder if this game inspired that design. Next was Sector B. I noticed these stages are starting to have thinner and thinner sections. But not only that, this stage has 2 loops that have no barriers. And this is probably the fastest you'll go in the game, so it's easy to fall off. And here it is. It really gets uncontrollable. So after restarting this race, I ended up falling off again. And I did what I said I wouldn't do. I save stated. I know, I'm an awful person, but damn it, man, I'm a working adult. I don't have time to sit around replaying the same courses over and over again. Rewatching me doing this, however, makes me feel like I didn't actually complete this challenge. I might consider not save stating, but also I don't know if I'd have enough time to complete these challenges in a timely manner. We'll see how the series goes and decide after that. Regardless, after trying again, I died again. This is silly and brutal. You know, some of us have to work. To be fair, I would still have 1 life after this, so technically if I don't die 1 more time during this cup, then it would be like I never save stated anyways. And after trying to kill someone, again, I almost died. That was just greedy and stupid of me. But also, how clutch was that? I kept going through, got a kill, and then was shoved off. Okay, so I would have game overed here. Did I mention I'm a working adult? Can't wait to hear from you guys. Eventually, I did drive the course well and got 4th. Hey, I'll take it, as long as I never have to play that course again. Oh, Red Canyon would be next. The gimmick here is, this is probably the thinnest track of them all, with thin energy refilling pads to match. I knew this was going to mean I had to hold off on boosting, so I did, and ended up first after finally destroying my rival on the final lap. Whiteland 2. This is racing on a half pipe. The physics here are kind of rough to drive on. It almost feels like one wrong move and you'd fall off the side, especially with these winding turns. I don't know how I did it, but I ended up not falling off and got first place with 1 kill. Mute City 3. This stage combines bounce pads with open barriers. The bounce pads allow you to take very small shortcuts by cutting corners, and with that strat I did get ahead, but not enough to get first. I got second here, which was thankfully enough to get first overall in the tournament. And before you say it's because of the save stating, I only did so on the track I ended up getting 4th on. And every other track I did legitimately, because I didn't die. So with that, cue the graphic, Captain Falcon fireworks. Well, that was fun. I enjoyed revisiting my childhood. And, oh, wait a minute. Joker Cup. Well, technically I beat the game, right? I'll do it anyways. I was already having too much fun to stop. First course, Rainbow Road. Wait a minute. This can't be it, can it? Rainbow Road is actually Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 64. And I don't mean it's inspired by it. I mean, it's the exact same layout. That's hella cool, bro. Dude, what a nice little egg we have here. So the main gimmick on this track is not having many walls on the course itself and some spike pads. But I know what you want to see. And I want to see it too. So we're going to go for it. Check this shit out, boy. Fuck. Well, luckily I have save states. If you were thinking I was cheating by using these save states, I need you to edit your comments and say, save states, save lives. Well, I tried this for a while, and although it seemed like I could get it, I would fall right through it and just straight up die. It always seemed like I got close, but nothing. Let me tell you, I'm just as disappointed as you are. However, I did look it up online, and although that specific shortcut isn't used, it seems you can still get a huge one with these speedrunning strats. So, like I said earlier, it's worth a watch if you've got the time. They truly do things that I didn't even think were possible. So back to the cup. I did end up in first on Rainbow Road. Well deserved. Save states and all. Next was Devil's Forest 3. And honestly, there wasn't really anything special about this one, or noteworthy anyways. First place pretty easily, smoke them foos. Third race, Space Plant. This is a variation of Big Blue. Another tube-like track with some straightaways in between and a tight jump. This is definitely a much more difficult Big Blue as I did fall off, but I didn't save state. You see the extra guy here is now missing. I think during my playthrough, I actually felt bad for save stating at this point, so I might have decided not to do it again. You see the things I do for you guys? And all I ask is for a like and sub. It seems like a fair trade, right? After retrying this race, I ended up First, easy peasy. Fourth race, Sand Ocean. Biggest thing here is the waviness of the track, but to be fair, this isn't really as noticeable as any of the other mechanics like the tube or half pipe. It seems like almost any other track. Although the CPU might have thought different, as 3 had retired by the end of the first lap. Without a struggle, I ended up in first. So much for Joker Cup. Port Town 2. Tight turns and some thin roads. Nothing crazy for the second to last track. Slightly disappointing, but I ended up with first by the second lap. And the final race. Big Hand. No, really, it's a literal hand. This reminds me, this is going to be like some history for you guys. Originally, this game had an expansion set for the Disk Drive 64. In that game, you could design your own courses and it had a lot more tracks included. I kind of wish they would have ported that onto the Switch and not just the base game, as it truly is some sort of expansion. Regardless, kind of coasted through this one too. It did have sharp turns on the fingers, but it was all manageable. I got first easily. And there we were. It seems like I cleared first in all of these tracks. So I ended up in first place with 1 kill. Cue graphics, cue fireworks. I guess that's it. I thought another course would unlock, but maybe it unlocks on expert difficulty if I do all of them like that, which I didn't do. And if you guys want me to do that, I'll do that for you. I kind of want to do it anyways. I just figured, well, that's going to take twice as long now. And I kind of wanted to jump through the next game, but I'll do it again regardless. So that's it, I guess. Oh, wait. Before I end this, let's check out Death Race. In my opinion, it is the funnest thing in the game. You're basically on a straightaway, and the goal is to eliminate all the other players without dying yourself. There's 29 other racers to eliminate, and you do this by double tapping Z or R or by pressing them together twice for a little spin. Although I find it's not as efficient as the double tap to shove them out of the way. Every time you knock out a player, you get a star and a nice little sound effect. It's just really satisfying. For some reason, destroying these cars is sort of therapeutic. Maybe it's the boy in me that thinks that, but I highly recommend doing this once. And you'll probably play this more than the base game in my opinion. But that's it. This was pretty fun. I think it has aged a bit for its time. It came out in 1998, so you kind of have to see it as that. It's still loads of fun and I think worthy of being in the subscription pack. Like, I'm not mad that this is on here. But that being said, I really wish they had the expansion pack for this. I really want the full functionality and capability that F-Zero X has to offer. That would make this experience a straight 10 out of 10 rather than what I believe it is now, which is probably between a 6 or a 7. So I'll say 6.5, which passes. So if you enjoyed this vid, support the series by giving this a like and sub. It really does help the algorithm and eventually may lead to me being able to do these a lot more frequently. With that said, thank you so much for watching and see you next time.